Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us today. Today is 14th October, Valentine's Day, the day of love, actually. And this year we start with Too Much Love for that is taking place in WordPress. Today we have Laura Elizabeth with us. Hi, Laura. How are you?
Hi, I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Very good. We started this year with love, and I hope that we will end this year with love as well. So we just spoke a little bit prior to restarting to record this show. We spoke about the swag and perhaps gifts. What would be, for instance, the perfect gift for Laura for the coming period?
Yeah, the perfect gift is my little KLM
Mhm.
house.
Sorry.
Oh, were you saying perfect gift? Is that what
Yeah,
you
what
said?
would be the perfect gift for Valentine's Day?
Oh, for
Would that be a
Valentine's Day. Oh, well,
Mm.
I know the answer to this. Me and my husband, we give each other a book, some chocolate or sweets or candy, and some kind of media, so a CD or DVD. And that's pretty much my perfect gift. So this evening I'll be getting a book, some chocolate, and probably a CD or something.
That's amazing. That's really good. It seems that you're a book lover. So, what genre you actually read when it comes to books?
So at the minute, I'm reading a Stephen King book. I've actually never read any Stephen King before, and I suppose you could say he's kind of a thriller type thing. But I like a lot of different things, to be honest. Yeah, I quite like books based on real events that are, I guess, dramatized. So like historical fiction or something like that. It's always good. I like a lot of nonfiction as well.
So, well, in the end of this meetup, actually, when we upload the videos to YouTube, we'll put a couple of links, perhaps of the literature that you would like to share with our audience
Sure.
tonight, and the ones that will be watching the recording. So, in order to actually hit the ground, today, you and I, we agreed that we will be talking about freelancers, business development, and actually communication and management of clients.
Yep.
So, how do we start even? I mean, there is so many different topics and so many different options that could be considered when being a freelancer and onboarding the clients. How do we actually start thinking about this?
Yeah, so that's a great question. With onboarding, what I like to do is I will take a piece of paper and or open up a Google Doc and write down every interaction that I have with a potential client. So, they email me. How do they email me? Is it through a contact form? Do they just send me an email? Do they give me a call? And I'll write down every single interaction and then I'll look through that and think, okay, what can I automate? What can I make as a template? And how can I just make this, whatever just naturally happens, into some kind of process? And so I think sort of starting with what you've got or what already happens is a really good place to start. And if you are just starting out and you haven't had that before, um, just imagine, what's going to happen. A client contacts you. What might they say? Um, how would you respond to that? Would they say like two or three different things? Do you have two or three responses that you might give them? And then you can just template out everything. So write emails that you can send to multiple clients and so on.
That is very interesting. I mean, every time I'm sure every freelancer is actually asking themselves if they have met the expectations of the client, right? Do they use the right terms? Do they use the right tools? Do they have the right approach? Has the client already worked with someone else? And then you're picking up their actually pieces. And so today you will be, could you tell us a little bit more about today's program that we will have? And of what people can expect, and then maybe you'd like to start with the session.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll share my screen now because I've got some slides to go with it. So I'll give you a bit of an overview. Let me know if you can see my screen okay.
Love it.
Yeah, you can see the big title, Freelancer's Guide to Client Onboarding.
Correct.
Cool. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to be talking about. This is one of my favorite subjects to talk about. I love onboarding. And you'd be surprised how few freelancers and even agencies have anything in place for onboarding. It honestly baffles me because I'm on two sides of it now, where I'm a freelancer myself, but I also work with a lot of freelancers. And not many people have this in place, which is surprising to me because hopefully, as you'll see in the presentation, it's really easy to set up and it makes a huge difference. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. But let me just introduce myself really quickly. My name's Laura, as you know. And like I said, I'm a freelancer. I was a freelancer for about, I say 10 years, but it's probably more than that. It's probably like 12 years now. Got into web design and a little bit of consulting. And I also am the founder of a project called Client Portal, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a portal for your clients, which you'll find out about a little bit later. I have a design course where I teach design to non-designers called Design Academy. And my latest product is called Project Pack. So I've put together templates and documents that can help freelancers and agencies in their different projects. So yeah, that's me. But yeah, predominantly I started out as a freelancer. I still do a bit of freelancing work now, but I'm in that really lucky stage where I don't need to take on very many clients because my other products are almost my full-time thing, and I get to be very picky and very choosy with who I work with, which was always my dream. So that's really good. But before I start the proper training, I've got some housekeeping things that I like to share because these are the questions I always get asked. The webinar is being recorded. I've been told it's going to go on YouTube. So it says the slides will be sent to you, but I believe it's going to be on YouTube after the webinar ends. So you can come back to it anytime. If you have a question, there's the chat panel. So feel free to just paste any questions in there and we can either answer them as we go. So feel free to interrupt me at any time, or I've got a little space at the end for questions if you prefer to leave it till the end. And then if you stay till the end of the webinar, I've got some deals that you might find interesting. So I'd really encourage you to stay right till the end. Okay, so this is basically what we're going to be talking about. I want to talk about three main problems that I had when freelancing and the main things that come up when I talk to freelancers and agencies. So these are: how do I onboard new clients without the time suck? So you are busy with your client work and you've got other clients in the door who need a good experience onboarding, but because you're busy with the other work, how do you juggle the two? How do I prevent scope creep during a project? So clients say, oh, can you just do this? Can you just add this extra page? Or, just expect you to just keep doing more and more and more and more. And the problem with this is once you do a little thing that's over and above what you did before, that very quickly becomes the norm and they start to expect it. So how can you just prevent that entirely? And finally, how do I stop my clients micromanaging my projects? There's nothing worse as a freelancer when you know you're an expert in what you do, you know what you're doing, you've done it before, and your client will not stop trying to micromanage every little thing. How do you get them to step back and just let you do your job? So the thing that I want to argue is that prevention is so much better than cure. And I know this can be really frustrating to hear if you are in the middle of any of those scenarios. So if you're having scope creep, if your clients are micromanaging, whatever it is. Once that's started, it is very difficult to stop it. So I want to show you that prevention is so much better. So you might need to, write off all your current experiences and just move forward with just preventing it entirely. And I'm going to show you how onboarding can solve pretty much all of these problems. So why is onboarding so important? first off, it makes the project much more efficient. So your client might not have worked with you on this type of project before. They might not know what they need to provide to you. They might not know how it works. They might inadvertently do things that slow you down. So good onboarding, where you you pre-think of all the potential problems that might happen, get it all out of the way at the start, it's going to make your project run a lot more smoothly. It makes you look good. So like I said at the start, I still cannot believe how few people have onboarding in place. And I can tell you, as someone who hires a lot of freelancers now, it makes such a difference. It makes you look so good. And it makes me as a client think, oh, wow, I made a really good decision hiring this person. They know what they're doing. I can relax. I don't need to worry. Um, they're really good. And because so few people do that, it makes, when someone does do it, it makes it just 10 times more effective. So it's going to make you look fantastic. And finally, it's a quick win. So setting up onboarding systems and processes does not take long, and you can keep adding to it. And as time goes on, you won't believe how much time some of these things that I'm going to show you will save. They might seem small, and you might think, yeah, I mean, is it really a big deal if I do XYZ manually every time? It takes like 5 minutes. But 5 minutes adds up to quite a lot when you're freelancing for hopefully years. And it really doesn't take long to set up. So it's a quick, easy, low-hanging fruit win. So this is basically the 6 steps that I use when onboarding a new client. So I'll go through these individually, but I start with qualifying the client. So first thing I need to know is, do I want to is it worth spending my time trying to convince them to work with me? Yes or no? And I want to find that out as quickly as possible. Number 2, write and send a proposal. A lot of people hate proposal writing, myself included. I actually don't mind it too much anymore because of the processes I've got in place to help. Update the contract, and you'll find out what a lot of people do is they either don't have a contract or they don't update it for every client. And I think that's a mistake, and I'll show you why a bit later. Send the deposit. That's an obvious one. You need a deposit to start work. And then step 5 is set up client homework. So I always try to give my clients something to work on before we start working together, because it's rare that we can just start straight away. But when they contact you, that's probably when their motivation's at the highest. So it's a really good idea to get a lot of the stuff out of the way that you're going to need to ask them for in the future. Get it out of the way now while they're highly motivated and while they have the time and the headspace to think about it. So that's step 5. And then step 6 is set them up with a portal to keep track of all their project, however you want to do that. And I'll show you how I do that later, and check in with them. So that's my 6-step process that I've used for years. Works really well, really easy to set up. Okay, so let's start with qualifying the client. As I mentioned, I want to qualify clients as quickly as possible, because the worst is when you spend so much time going back and forth with a client, maybe getting on a call with them, writing a custom proposal, and then they're like, oh, I was actually hoping you'd do this for I'll post on social media about you and say how great you are. I don't actually have a budget. That's happened to me so many times, and it's so frustrating. So the first thing that I do is I send them an email that's a pre-written email that qualifies them. And what I use for this now is Help Scout, which is basically Help Scout is a way for you to manage your emails. And if and when you get to the stage where you hire people, maybe an assistant or a junior designer copywriter, you'll probably need something like Help Scout in place. And it basically means you can collaborate on emails, send internal notes together, have internal help documentation and SOPs and all that stuff. But Help Scout also has something where you can save emails and save replies to people. For a lot of you, that's going to be too overkill at the minute because it's going to be a high monthly cost that you just don't need. So what I used to use before Help Scout is something called Atext. And Atext is, a lot of you might have heard of something called Text Expander. It's a really popular tool that you can save emails or snippets or whatever you need to save and just have little abbreviations, keyboard shortcut type things that will write out these emails for you. And Atext is basically a really cheap version of that. So when I bought Atext, it was $5 for life. I don't know how much it is now, but I think it's still pretty inexpensive. The interface is not as nice as something like Text Expander, but as far as I know, Text Expander is a monthly cost, and I don't like paying monthly unless I really have to. So Atext is a really good solution. And basically what you do is you set up a bunch of different emails. You can see I've got qualify lead, project reject, waiting list, initial meeting, after meeting, proposal follow-up, so on. You set up all your emails. You set up custom fields for each client that you can fill in, and you put an abbreviation. So the one on the screen is full stop reject. So anytime I type full stop reject, I get a little pop-up that looks like this, and it gives me my email with little input boxes for any custom fields that I want to write in. So it means I can have a templated reply, but I can put little fields in where I can add personalized information so it doesn't seem like they're getting something templated. So it doesn't seem like an auto reply. It seems like something you've actually written. In this example, it's got the name, but you can have anything, in there. So to go back to qualifying the client, which is what this step's about, this is the email that I currently send to qualify clients. And there's a few things I want to point out about this. So I basically say, thanks for reaching out. I'd love to talk to you. Can I get you to answer a few questions for me so I can learn a bit more about this project before we schedule a consultation? And some of these questions are pretty simple. Tell me about why you're looking to start this project. What business goals do you have? Most clients will be expecting that one. But number 2 is very important. So it says, do you have a budget you've set aside for this project? And is it over X? So if they're contacting me about a website, I'll have a certain budget. If they're contacting me about a logo, I'll have a different one. And I'll just write that in. So I'll say, is it over, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, whatever your minimum project budget is. This sets the expectations for them that this is sort of what you charge, and gets rid of anyone who only has like $100 budget or something. When you're looking to get started on the project is the next question. And the one after this, number 4, is also a really good one to help qualify. So it says, are you the owner of this project? And should we plan on inviting other team members to the initial consult? And this is really important because if you are like me and you've ever experienced where you've seemed like you've got the perfect client, they're really excited to work with you, and you go through, you talk to them about their needs, you do a proposal for them, everything's great, you spend loads of time on them, and then they say, okay, I just need to send this over to my boss and see what they think. That's like the worst thing you can hear, because chances are the boss is going to say, oh no, I have someone else in mind, or no, who's this person? I don't want to work with them. They want to find someone themselves. So you need to find out, are you the owner of the project? Or what could possibly be a better way of wording it is, are you the decision maker of this project? Because you want the decision maker on the call with you. You don't want to be going through other people if you can help it. And then the last question is this a new type of project for your company? Have you done something like this before? This is not overly important, but I always find it's good to know whether they've done something like this before. That tells me how much hand-holding they might need, and what they might need to know from me during our call. So this is basically just my golden email to get rid of any time wasters. So the only people I will actually invite to a call have answered, positively to this email. And what I'll do is if I go back to, a text or Help Scout here, is I'll have a follow-up email for someone who I want to reject, who I want to say, sorry, it doesn't sound like we can work together. Maybe you should try Upwork, or here are some of the freelancers who might be better suited to you, or whatever. And then one for people who you want to take to the next stage, and you say, okay, we're going to have a call. Let's get a time scheduled. So that's just a really easy, quick way to qualify your client. If we go on to step 2, write and send the proposal. So I use a tool called Newsy, and I've used it for so many years. I actually know the founders pretty well because I was one of their earlier customers, and I absolutely love them for proposal software. They have proposal templates. You can reuse snippets of, you can mix and match parts from other proposals, build up a perfect proposal for your client that's sort of tailor-made for them using pre-written blocks that you've already done. So it just makes things really easy, and it's just got a really nice interface. So I really recommend them, but you can just use, you can do whatever. You can do a proposal in Google Docs, PDF, whatever you want. But a good proposal should usually include something like this structure here. So we want to talk about why you're here, so the problem that they're facing. Try to use your client's own words for this. So if you've got on a call with them, hopefully they've told you a little bit about their problems. Try to note down how they phrase it and phrase it back to them in the proposal. So, you'd say you're having trouble getting new leads to your website, and you feel like your competitors are just, so much more polished, and, whatever the problem is, just say it back to them. The second part will be, where do you want to be? So this is what the client wants. This is what they dream of, having a really fantastic polished brand that's, professional and, whatever, that gets more people into their funnel, gets more people signing up for a trial, whatever they want. Next thing is how we will get there. So this is the solution that you propose. So, redesign or consulting or whatever the solution is, preferably have a couple of packages. So one basic one with a couple of upsells in. Then why us? So this is sort of the sell. So why should they choose you? What credentials do you have? Pricing. So this could be in step 3. I know I sort of said about packages, but you can have pricing a little further down. So you can have your packages after the why us, which actually is what I do in my current proposal. So I've got how we will get there, but I don't mention pricing, why us, and then I've got the 2 or 3 packages. And then provide the next steps. So a lot of people don't do this when they do a proposal. They just sort of expect you to know what to do. So tell them, if you want to accept this proposal, here's what happens next. Just give me the thumbs up and I'll send over a deposit. Or if you use something like Newsy, they can actually click a button that says accept proposal, and they can do like a little e-sign thing, which will then notify you that they've accepted it. You can then send out a follow-up email from there. So just make sure you include what the next steps are. And then I also include one thing I really want to point out when I do my proposals that's been really helpful is I try to include as much detailed information about what's specifically included. So I will say things like up to 2 sets of amends are included in the cost. I'll say if this is a web design project, I will list out the pages. So I won't just say 5 pages. I'll list out the actual pages because, 5 pages could be long ones like home pages and landing pages. They could be short ones like contact forms. If you say 5 pages, they can always change it and be like, oh, I want 5 massive pages, where you've been sort of thinking, oh, well, one's going to be a blog, which I do all the time, and so forth. So list out the exact pages or page templates, I should say, that they're going to need. And then the other thing I want to point out is that you can see at the bottom, I say, please note, this quote doesn't include any HTML or CSS work. And this is something I put off putting in my proposal for a really long time. I'm a website designer and I'm not a website developer. I have a team that I work with. They're not my employees, but I've used them for years. They're called Reliable PSD. Absolutely love them, use them for everything. But they do the HTML and CSS and they quote for that separately. And so I really point this out in the proposal because I don't want to hide away from it. I don't want clients to assume that these pages are going to be coded. I want them to be, I don't want them to be disappointed when they find out that what they're paying includes less than they originally thought. I want them to have the right expectations from the start. So include anything that you think your client might assume is going to be included and include it. You can either say, you can have this as an add-on, but it's not included, or you can say this is not included at all. But just make sure you do that so you don't, so you set the right expectations. Okay, so that's the proposal. Then we've got the contract. This is quite an easy one. So I use HelloSign for my contracts. I think actually though Newsy might have some kind of contract feature in there now. I'm not 100% sure, but they might. But anyway, I've used HelloSign, which just means you can upload a contract, get them to sign it online. Super, super easy. The easier you make it for them to sign a contract, the better. But what I really want to point out in my contract is I then will put the same text that I had in the proposal, so the 2 sets of amends, the exact pages into the contract. And a lot of people don't do this. They just send out the same contract to every client. I actually like to edit each contract. Not because I think that a contract will ever really go to court or anything like that. To be honest, the types of projects I work on, I don't think if anything happened, I don't think it would be worth it to to go to court over any of my projects. So, I'm not thinking, oh, I'm going to sue them if this goes wrong. But what I really like about contracts is that, to me, I see it as this single source of truth that answers any question. If you ever come to a crossroads and you and your client don't know what to do next, you can refer back to the contract to remind yourself. So that's the way I see contracts, and that's why I put as much detail as I can into my contracts. It doesn't take long, it takes like 5 minutes or something, but I think it's worth it. Step 4 is send the deposit. So again, another easy one. You need your clients to pay you. And there are a bunch of tools you can use. You probably already know. You can use Stripe or PayPal to send invoices. If you have accounting software like Xero, you can use those to send invoices. TransferWise is really nice, especially if you work with international clients. They're just getting bigger and bigger. Actually, I should change this. They're now called Wise, but I always refer to them as TransferWise because I'm used to it. They send invoices. But what I really want to, a point that I really want to make after working with a lot of freelancers is make it easy for your clients to pay you. Paying you is like the most important thing that a client can do. You want them to pay you. That's like the whole point of you working for them. So make it easy for them. Accept credit cards, utilize web forms instead of making them do a bank transfer. Most software will allow you to add on credit card fees. If you want to have different payment options, you can say, in the form itself, if they select credit card, there can be an extra 2% charge or whatever for them using their credit card. Or you can bake it into the cost of doing business. The amount of people who fuss over, and I know 2% can be a lot when you're dealing with higher value projects, which is why you can also add on the credit card fees on top of your invoice. But especially if you're working with smaller projects, just bake it into your cost. It's so much better that a client can pay you quickly, than it is to save the 2% and, have to follow up with them loads of times to pay your invoice, especially if you're working with international clients, because it's hard. It can be really hard to pay someone from, say, if you live in the States and you're paying someone in the UK or vice versa, it can be quite very hard to do a bank transfer, especially, I will say, from the States to other countries. I lived in the States for a while and they do not make bank transfers easy. Here in the UK and in a lot of Europe, and I don't know wherever else, bank transfers are pretty easy. In the US, it's not, and it's really expensive for them. So just make it easy for them to pay you. And this is the email that I send, as my sort of follow-up, as my hey, pay the deposit. And there's a couple of things I want to mention in this email as well. So it says, as mentioned, I'm booked through May, whatever month this is, but we can start working together now. I'll get familiar with your business. You can do some of the data collection homework so that when the start date rolls around, I'll have everything I need and we can get going immediately. Then it says, sounds good. If so, as soon as the initial deposit has been paid, so we're saying that you have to pay this first, I'll get you set up in my project management software and we can start the research phase along with the deliverable timelines. And this is important because you want them to feel like they're paying and they're going to get something straight away. It can be a bit of a downer when you pay for something and you have to wait months, which is probably the case, but it's nice to get something set up straight away. And then I also have this little PS at the minute where I say slots do tend to fill up quickly. So I recommend paying the deposit as soon as you're able to secure your spot. And that means that a client can't come back to you right before May or whatever month you say and say, hey, I'm ready to start. I've just paid the deposit. And you're like, well, I have other work now. I can't do your project. So you need to make it clear that you'll only schedule them into your calendar once they've paid. But once they've paid, that's it. That time is absolutely theirs. Okay, so the next step is setting up the client homework. And I love giving clients homework. As I said earlier, it's a great way to just get them when they're motivated, those things that you need. This could be a ton of different things. You could get them to put together mood boards. You could set up a Pinterest board, whatever. Ask them to collect websites or designs if you're a designer, of just inspiration that you can work with. You can send them questionnaires, business questionnaires, project questionnaires, whatever that they can fill out. You can collate login information, which is something that if you're anything like me, you always forget until you're ready to work on something. And then you're like, oh gosh, how do I actually log in? I need to be able to log into their website in order to do this. Get that first. Google Analytics, whatever it might be. You can send them gut tests, which is a really cool bit of homework that I love, which I'll show you in the next slide. And you can get them to write content for you. So loads of different things. Just think about the whole time span of your project. What are the things you're going to need from them? Can you put it into a questionnaire? Can you get it now, even though you don't need it now? So just to mention this gut test, because I really do like it. If you do anything visual, if you do design, branding, this is fantastic. I got this idea from, gosh, I can't remember the name now. I got it from Brad Frost, who got it from someone else. So this isn't my idea. But if you Google 20-second gut test, or I think it might be 30-second gut test or something, you'll see who originally did it. But basically what you do is you set up a little table and you put in, if you're doing websites, different websites of varying styles. So you might have an illustrative one. You'll have ones that they've given you in their inspiration, ones that you like, and then you'll have completely random out there ones. And you basically say, okay, what's your gut reaction to this website? Don't spend any time on it. Don't worry about the content. Don't worry about the branding. If I gave this to you, how happy would you be with it? And this is fantastic because you'll find that a lot of clients, what they think they want is not actually what they want in reality. So they might tell you that they want a certain style of website. This gut test can show something completely different. It's also really good if you have multiple people who are going to be weighing in on the project. Obviously, I do recommend only having one person who weighs in, but that's not always possible. Sometimes there are going to be lots of different people who want their views. They might all have their little crosses all over the place on this, and they might not line up at all. And that gives you a fantastic starting point to say, okay, we're not on the same page here. Everyone seems to like something different and dislike something different. Let's start the conversation about that. Let's get on the same page. And you can talk about, it's not just about what you like, what do you think is good for your target audience, and you can sort of hone it down from there. That will save you so much time if you've ever been in the situation where your client, you've done what your client's asked, and then it hasn't been right. This is just going to save you so much time for that. So that's why I wanted to mention it here. But your other homework could be things like make content worksheets, content workbooks. So this is a preview from Project Pack, which is, like I said, one of my products that I have. You can make worksheets for them to help them write their content. You can write guides on how to write fantastic content. Do the work up front to help them help you. And it's an investment way that will just pay off if you can do this and get something over to them to make their life easier. Because remember, clients are busy. They might be your clients, they might be paying you, but they probably have a million things on their to-do list. And this project with you is just one of many. So, it's a good idea to think about it from that perspective too. And then the last thing I want to mention about the homework is don't forget to schedule a homework check-in the week leading up to the start date. So I actually got this email a month or so ago when I worked with a freelancer who did really well with her onboarding. She had an assistant who did all these emails for her, but I was super impressed. It was nothing fancy, but they kept on top of it. So they said, in preparation for your website facelift package on Thursday, please reply to this email with a link to your comment-enabled Google Doc of the copy you'd like Michael to polish. Simple email, but just make sure you send it so you're not starting the project and they haven't done anything, because chances are your client might not do anything until the last minute anyway, if they're anything like me. Okay, so the last step is to set up some kind of portal, some place where you're going to keep everything together and check in with them. So as you have probably gathered from this talk, I use a lot of tools in my work. I love different tools. I love Newsy. I love Typeform for forms, HelloSign for contracts, everything. I love using tools. I find tools that do one thing well are so much better than most project management tool. I find project management tools like Basecamp don't work for me when I'm working with clients because there's too steep a learning curve. There's too much going on. The client does not want to learn how to use a project management tool they're not familiar with. Project management tools are fantastic, though, if you have a team of people in your company. So you sort of need two different things. If you have a team, you need a project management tool. That could be something like Trello, could be Basecamp. 17 Hats, I think, is another one. ClickUp, whatever. But with your client, you don't really want to add them to that unless you really have to. But you still want them to have access to all these different tools that you use. So I set up a portal, and I'm going to show this to you now. And what's interesting about this is when I've been doing this talk for a really long time, or a version of it, I update it all the time. And this was originally something that I made for myself. And I said, just you can have a portal, something like this, this is mine, but you can do whatever. And the response from this talk was always, oh my gosh, I need this for my business. Can I buy this from you? So I ended up making it into a product. So I'm essentially going to do a demo of my own product. It wasn't ever intended to be, a giant pitch or anything like that, but it is a really good example of what I mean when I say set up a portal. So what you'll do is, say this is your website, your client will log in. So you will give that, there'll be this link in your navigation that will say client login. They'll go to a login page that looks something like this. They will log in. Hopefully I've done the right password. And you can have you can see all their different projects for them. So this is my fictional client, TechArc, so you can have their branding at the top. And just show them a portal of their project. So this can be done in Client Portal, which is my product, or you could do something as simple as I've known some people who just have a Google Doc that is literally just links to all of the different things. So to give you an example, they might have a Google Doc that's got a getting started guide, a link to their brief, a link to inspiration, a link to their invoices, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be a fancy portal like this, but it can be really nice to have something like this. So, you can have your information here, and you can have different pages where your client can see a little getting started video. Tells them how to use their portal, tells them things like their weekly call and stuff like that. So you can have links out to Google Docs with their design brief, inspiration. You can go to Pinterest, whatever you use for inspiration. If we go back to the dashboard, I won't spend too long on this because you'll sort of get the idea. These little bits here are things that are coming up, so the client can't click on them, but they know that the next step they're going to get is the style guide. It's not ready yet, but when it is, that will become available in their portal. For now, they can look at their prototype, whatever you want. They can see their invoice receipts, download those, everything. And you can have multiple products. So you can have a website maintenance thing where you can get them to submit a ticket. You can embed things like Trello boards, really anything. But my whole point of, this part of the process is just giving them some central thing where they can see everything that's going on, because, there's a lot of different moving parts for a website redesign or whatever project you're working on. And if your clients have somewhere that they can log in and just find everything, their login credentials, this says you don't have permission to download this file. That's intentional because it's login credentials. I don't actually want the test one to have permission. So that's not an error, just so you know. They can see their contract. They can you can embed spreadsheets, and they can add hours or add packages, whatever you want. But basically just have something central, whether it's something like this or a Google Doc with all these links in, whatever it might be, so they can go back and get to it. Okay, so I'll go back to my slides now. I've shown you that. Or, by the way, you can make something like that yourself. So you can make a simple portal yourself that's just on your website. If you didn't want to use Client Portal, you can just make it yourself and have it there. So ultimately, to sum up, I think that the key to giving your clients a memorable experience lies in the planning. I think if you just plan what's going to happen in a project, you will be light years ahead of like 90% of other freelancers, if not more. And the way I would go about doing this, that I mentioned at the start, is just go through your process and think about every possible interaction that you and your clients have. So from first contact, what are the 2 things or however many things that could happen from there? Either you accept it or reject it. What happens then? You send these emails, then what happens? You book a meeting, you have a meeting, follow up with this, send a proposal, follow up with this email, whatever it is, just go through and figure out your entire process from start to finish, all the way to after the project. So getting feedback from them, getting a testimonial, getting repeat work, like check-ins from them, however long down the line, to see if they need anything else. Have that baked in to your process. And, I would just take a day or so and just do that and just figure everything out. You can make the templates over time. I understand you might not have time to just do all this in one go. But next time you send a follow-up email, write it really carefully and save it as a reply. Next time you send a proposal, write it really carefully and think how you can use it for other projects. And another thing that I do once I've done this is I made myself a little checklist, because you've got this process in place, but you need to know where you are in this process with each client. So I have the checklist in front of me, and then I put my clients at the top, and I just check off where I am with each client. Because, as you know, if you've got 3 or 4 clients, they're not all going to start at the same date. Some people are going to be in the initial setting up stages. Some people are going to be near the end. Some people are going to be in the middle, and you don't want to miss any of your stages. So I just find this really helpful. I prefer to print it off because I like stuff on paper. But you can just have it digitally as well if you prefer. So if we go back to our initial questions, which are, how do I onboard new clients without the time suck? Is write out all your emails, write out every interaction, because you are probably, as you know, going to be knee deep in actual client work. You're not going to have the time to give them the polished experience that you would like. So do it ahead of time, do it during one of your quiet periods, and just get it all written and get it out there. How do I prevent scope creep during a project? Well, make it really clear what's included. Make it easy for them to have upsells. Just put things into your contract, make sure they know what's included, and don't be afraid to refer back to it. Try not to allow any scope creep, honestly, unless they're paying enough that you really do not mind, which I actually have had clients like that. So I understand that sometimes, it's worth it. But try not to allow any scope creep because it is a slippery slope. And then how do I stop clients from micromanaging my projects? I honestly find micromanaging comes from clients who are not comfortable working with you. And that's really important. That's a really important way to think, because clients don't usually want to micromanage. Clients do this when they are not sure if they've made a good decision in hiring you. They want to know what's going on. They want to know, are you working? Did I make a good, are they screwing me over? Am I paying all this money? Are they taking me for a ride? That's probably what's going through your client's head when they micromanage. So I find setting them up with some kind of portal where they can go in and actively see what's being worked on is just fantastic for stopping them from micromanaging. So that's basically my presentation. Like I mentioned, I've got a deal for you if you're interested in Client Portal. So I'm not going to spend too long on this, but if you would like to have a look and you're interested in it, you can get 30% off until this Sunday, which is the 20th of February, which is actually one day after my daughter's first birthday. So we will be celebrating on Saturday the 19th for her birthday. And this deal will end the next day on the 20th of February. So you can get 30% off with the code GoDaddy. Have a look at the website, see if this is something you could use in your business. If so, amazing. If not, no worries, but the offer is there for you.
Laura, can you share the link in the chat?
Yes, I will pop that in the chat just a second, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I've got for you is Project Pack, which, like I said, is my new product, which is basically templates and documents. I've got one for a web design, brand identity, and then a marketing consulting one. And these are all the documents from, if you look at the website, which is projectpack.co, you can see, I'll paste that link into the chat as well. You can see what's included. It's got everything. It's got the contract invoice template. It's got all the deliverables, wireframe templates, logo templates, like everything. And you can have one of these for free. I've just realized there's a problem. There's a typo in my thing. Yours for free. You would get either consulting, branding, or web design. I've accidentally missed it off that last one. But you can get any of the three, one of them for free if you get Client Portal before Sunday. So have a look through those. And if you have any questions about any of them, feel free to email you. I'll paste my email address in the chat as well. But hopefully there's enough time for you to have a look to see if it's something that you think you would benefit from. So yeah, that's it. It's there's time for some questions. I'm happy to stay for as long as needed to answer any questions about onboarding clients, client portal, project pack, anything. So feel free to ask if you've got any questions. But let me just stop sharing my screen and I'll pop into the chat.
All right. So I think let's read the comments first. This is really useful. You don't even think that so much preparation actually makes things easier. By the way, I also liked the paper better. So there paper that there is a paper people here as well still. Laura is sharing with us the relevant links. If you guys have any questions, I have a couple of questions, but I will also be waiting for your questions. So let me see. You have contact details for Laura as well, and those all of these links will also be included in the YouTube description of the video in case you'd like to check it out later. Laura, I have a question for you. I mean, freelancers usually are not people who are business savvy, right? They don't know so many industries. I mean, usually they're very young and, they have technical skills, but, when you need to come up with a website for a company, they would expect that you understand that you understand their business. So how does a freelancer have to be a business developer as well? I mean, how does business development, freelancing, and web design actually work together? I mean, you just mentioned micromanaging and this trust between the client and the freelancer, because the client knows his industry, his business. He thinks he knows, right?
Yeah.
So what would you suggest to young freelancers?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. It is so beneficial to understand about business, understand about conversions, understand their own problems. Since actually releasing Client Portal, I've got a lot better as a freelancer because I'm doing lots of business development, marketing, and stuff on Client Portal. So I now have a deeper understanding of what my clients need from a website redesign. That enables me to charge more because I'm not just a web designer. I'm someone who can, consult, and I'm someone who can provide guidance. But like you say, when you're just starting out, you don't have that. You don't have that experience, and I think that's okay. Some people would say fake it till you make it. I would say a lot of the time it's really obvious when you're doing that. So I would actually not, unless you're really good at faking it, I would not fake that you know more than you do. Just be honest, be open to learning. When you're just starting out, your rates will probably be lower. That's okay. As long as you're charging enough that you're happy with. It's okay if you're not charging as much as, someone who's been doing it for 10 years, but try to use it as a learning opportunity. And if you get a client that you have a really good rapport with, maybe they will let you do some extra work on them for a low cost. Or, I know I shouldn't recommend working for free, but I worked for free when I was starting out. I know a lot of other people did, to gain some insights into the business development side. So maybe they have access to A/B tools, and you can say, hey, I'll run some tests for you. If you let me just run some tests and use it as a case study to say, I upped your conversions by X by doing Y, I'll learn a ton. I'll get a fantastic case study that's worth it for me. So just try to use every opportunity as a learning opportunity. And yeah, just with time, you will get better at the business side of things. Yeah, I would sort of recommend don't try and pull the wool over your client's eyes. They probably know, but be open to learning and trying new things.
Sure. Do you, just as a matter of curiosity, I mean, do you already at the beginning offer the care plans to your client, or you just offer the scope that's relevant to building or designing a website?
I didn't offer care plans actually. It's only something I've started doing recently, and I don't know why I didn't offer care plans. They're a fantastic idea. Clients need them, and it was only me being a client I realized how useful they were. So yeah, I didn't do it at the start, but I would recommend it. Having something ongoing. If you are a designer and you do a web design project, chances are your client's going to need other stuff. They need things like they've got a new brand and then they're on LinkedIn or Twitter or something and they need a cover photo. You could offer them X amount of hours a month for design work. And you can say, in my experience, once you've got this web design, you might need a bunch of other stuff like the cover photos, like feature login. This available for you. You can do 10 hours, 20 hours, whatever, and do that. If you are not a designer, if you're a web developer, care packages are really common for web developers. You can have plugin updates, security, minor content updates, and all that kind of stuff. Whatever industry you're in, chances are your client will need some kind of ongoing work and will like having a point of contact that they can go to for when they need something extra.
So we've heard portal. We've heard about a project pack. You've shared the details and links to the websites, and we're very happy. I'm going to check it more into more details, because the story that you gave us today really empowers me that I'm equipped with the right tools to enter the market, and to actually understand and have some type of a proof that I'm not behind any agency or freelancer, but that actually I'm using the right tools, and that I will not look as an amateur or something like that to some external partners. Elizabeth says that she already has a client portal and project path, and that both are great. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
That's Elizabeth. Don't mind us. Actually, may perhaps messaging you or DMing you if we end up not knowing how to use something, because you're already an experienced user. Stuart is saying thank you as well, and Ken is inviting us all for further discussion in the community chat if we have time. So, just to wrap up before we finish with this meetup, is there anything else that you wanted to actually say to encourage freelancers to use these tools, to feel free to, actually on the right side of things, how things should be done? How do we encourage them to follow your suggestion?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest encouragement, honestly, would just be the fact that so few people put this in place. Freelancers are always looking for ways to stand out. And, they might say, okay, I need to stand out by really niching my website and just targeting schools, or I need to just target XYZ, whatever. Actually, a really good way to stand out is just to give your clients a fantastic experience. And a lot of people don't bother with that because, I don't know, they think, oh, it'll take me 5 seconds to write this email. Why do I need to spend, double the amount of time making it into a template? Well, because when you're really, really busy and you might be overworked and a bit tired, you're not going to want to spend that time writing the email. You want to have something there. So I would just say, use your experience as a differentiator, utilize, and that will help you utilize referrals, which are often going to be your biggest source of more leads. A lot of people don't like it when referrals are their biggest source of leads because they feel like it's not real. They're not a real business. It's not real marketing. They're not doing ads or whatever. But if you do it well, referrals can be a really, really good source of leads. So give them a really good experience, have follow-ups in place afterwards to get testimonials, to get repeat work, to reach out to your clients, your past clients, to see if there's anyone else who would like working with them. And just remember to tell your clients to recommend them. Just say, oh, I'd really appreciate it if you recommended me, if you enjoyed working with me, to recommend. It doesn't come across as pushy at all. And it really does, as the client, it reminds you to say, yeah, I really like this person and I want to recommend them. And it will make them think of people they can refer to you. So just don't be afraid to do it. It's really low-hanging, easy fruit. There's really no reason not to.
Awesome. Besides having I mean, being a designer, website designer yourself, you are also welcoming other freelancers to join you in certain quests that you will have. Is this like, could we say that this is an open call for people to check out the potential projects that they could work with you if they're freelancers and they're just looking for side gigs and they don't want to have their own agency and run business?
Yeah, I mean, so are you asking, like, could people reach out to me about work, or?
Yes, for the freelancing platform, because what I understood as well is that you also have certain jobs that you share with community freelancers, right? That you also depend on the extra hands, to say like this.
Yeah, definitely. So what I find is really handy is if I get people come to me and I can't take on the work or I don't want to, I love having people I can refer work to, because I don't like rejecting clients outright. I like to be able to say, I'm not available to work with you right now, but here are some people who would be a good fit. So yeah, definitely reach out if you've got different skills in different areas, and I'll be happy to, with your portfolio, I'll be happy to add you to my list. In terms of working, like if you're asking about working, if I worked with a client and me hire someone else, it's not actually something I do, because I don't actually have a personal brand for freelancing anymore. Because Client Portal and Design Academy and Project Pack are my main things, I don't really have a website for freelancing. The way I get clients is through referrals, people who've worked with me before, or past clients, and I'm very, very choosy about who I work with. I only have 2 clients at the minute. And yeah, so it wouldn't be a good, I wouldn't really have anything to offer anybody. But yeah,
Well,
you can
maybe
always
one
reach
day we
out.
can actually have a totally fresh new meetup only on referrals, because you understand how the referral strategy works and how much time it needs to be implemented, and actually to start picking the fruit from all the work that you need to invest for, I'm sure, years in order to
Yeah.
be recognized in your business. Before we leave, next Monday, not next Monday, in 2 weeks' time, on 28th of February, we'll be talking about the website design. So you mentioned that you are a web designer. So what is your definition of web design nowadays? I mean, how do you feel it? You said that you're not a developer, so you're basically the creator, the visioner. So what is making these visions of websites for you? How do you find inspiration?
Yeah, so I mostly work on marketing websites. I love sales websites, landing pages, portfolio websites, that kind of thing. I The way I see web design is it's mostly about the copy. The content is just by far the most important thing, and you'll see in my talk next in 2 weeks why that is, and you'll see some examples of that. But I think content is really important, and what I really like to do is I like to really polish people's brands and just make them look super professional, and have really clear goals on the website, and just make it look something that they're proud of, something that they're really proud to have. And that's basically what I do, and it's what I teach. So I have a design course, but I don't teach people how to be designers, because I don't think that, for the most part, design doesn't need to be anything crazy, out of the box, super creative. I think there are some really simple rules that you can use to have really good, solid, high converting, polished designs. And I think anyone can do it, honestly. So I don't teach people how to be fantastic designers. I teach people how to make something look really professional. And that's what I love doing. So that's what the talk's going to be about in a couple of weeks, which I'm really excited about, because I love talking about that as well. So yeah.
Looking forward to our next event. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. This was Laura Elizabeth, our dear colleague and a professional from the tech and the web industry that we are all in. Next time we will meet on 28th of February, and until then, the recording will be released And if you would like to sign up for either Client Portal, Project Pack, or Academy or Design Academy, please reach out to Laura. In the meantime, you have any questions, I'm here. So this will be it. This will be everything for tonight. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right. Bye.